Ladies and gentlemen, let's Gaming Today video. We're going to be discussing Microsoft's Xbox One development kit because there's been a tiny bit of controversy that's popped up in the news. So this started with Martin Fuller making comments. Now he is part of the Xbox Advanced Technology Group, and he was speaking to the press who were attending Develop today actually, and he said, as far as I'm aware, there are no plans. I'm not aware of the reason why we didn't manage to do that, and this is in regards to the Xbox One, every Xbox One unit being usable as a development kit. He then added, we were in the early stages of Xbox One looking for the idea of a retail kit that could be turned into a development kit and vice versa. In the end, although we were very admirable in the goal, it hasn't happened unfortunately. Can't tell you the specifics of exactly why not. However, but wait, there's more. There's now been additional statements made to Polygon and Kotaku, among others, and they have been stating that those comments were, well, inaccurate. As far as I'm aware, there's not a name for the person who gave this quote. It was just said from a Microsoft representative. But it says, and I quote, "The comments today were inaccurate. We remain committed to ensure the best possible solution for developers and hobbyists to create games for the Xbox One. We will share more details at a later date." And once again, this was just from a Microsoft representative. I can't honestly fathom how this came to be, this mix-up. And on the 21st of June, I put out a different video. We put out a video actually focusing on indie game development on the Xbox One. If I remember, I'll link it in this video description. If not, you can search for it. And this was actually at the Developer Day Conference 2014, so you could probably just search on the channel 2014 Developer Day, and it's also on the website as well. I've gone very much into depth with it, and actually goes into details of not only the Xbox One's development hardware, on the OS architecture, things such as some of the DX12 features which are already in the console. But Microsoft did make quite a big deal regarding the development kits, and the weird thing is it states, I'm reading this from their own press release, well, part of their kind of PDF. I've given all links to it in the article that I've just mentioned, but it says, and I quote, "What do I get? 2 free Xbox One dev kits, access to documentation / forums / middleware, and free Xbox One only Unity Pro license, and free Xbox One add-on for Unity." And this is, by the way, for the ID at Xbox. So it's a little bit curious that Microsoft have made this screw up. I'm not exactly sure what they did or why this chap, Martin Fuller, once again, issued these statements when someone else at Microsoft, whomever they may be, once again, I personally don't know who made the statements, as far as I'm aware, just a Microsoft representative. And this guy is an Xbox Advanced Technology Group. He is from that division, so I don't know what happened. Maybe he didn't get a memo. Maybe I'm not being a smart ass at the guy here. I just don't understand how the heck this happened. But the problem is, large companies, and I mean like the larger the company, the more divisions a company has, communication is actually a major issue. It's a bit weird because larger studios, there's always that problem where actually getting communication, getting memos so that one person, Bob in, Division A knows what Tom in Division B is doing is like a really big deal. It can be a major problem. That's why there are so many project management solutions which are popping up on the market, and they're really a big deal. I mean, there's companies that are making a hell of a lot of money just basically running the administration and actually creating these applications. So it just seems to be a bit of a screw up. Now, I don't particularly think that that's a major piece of news where I'll be like, yes it is, no it's not. But the problem is, it's negative PR for Microsoft again. And I'm not reporting it in that respect. I'm actually reporting it in terms of, Microsoft just need to be a little bit more careful. I think the one area that Sony have beaten Microsoft on, and it obviously they've got the hardware advantage over Microsoft. I think that's pretty clear at this point. But that's not a big deal, right? Because the original Xbox was considerably more powerful than the PlayStation 2. Considerably. Like 2 or 3 times more powerful. And yet, it lost to the PS2, simply because the games were better. So, Microsoft, although to be fair, the Xbox did bring in Live, which was a pretty big deal for consoles at the time. But, in my personal opinion, Microsoft aren't losing here in terms of the games. Like, the game situation, it's arguable which console has the better lineup. It really, really is arguable. Some people are going to say it's the PlayStation blatantly. Other people are going to say it's the Xbox. But it really comes down to what your personal tastes are in gaming. I personally think they're both pretty damn good. But one thing I do feel that Microsoft are losing out to pretty consistently, and this has been a flaw in their strategy since the first day they pretty much announced the Xbox One. And that is everyone singing from the same hymn sheet. There seems to be a lot of inconsistency at Microsoft where one person is saying one thing and others say something else. The whole Phil Spencer incidents, the whole deal with it incidents, the turnarounds with DRM and policy. And while I congratulate them for changing and improving the services, despite the fact some would argue that they were just seeing if they could get away with it. Personally, whatever. The fact of the matter is they fixed it, but this whole thing of one person in the company saying something a bit different, that's a major problem, and Microsoft this is not the first time it's happened. And especially since this isn't like, for example, you know, this isn't Andy speaking this at a press conference. This isn't like they're, you know, a random PR representative who happened to say the wrong thing, who wasn't technically adept. This is someone who, well, you'd expect them to know that, especially since they're actually speaking at Develop. So you would think, logically, they are speaking to a crowd who would probably like to know this stuff. In other words, they're not just saying it to a random gamer. And I'm not, you know, having a go at random gamers, I'm just pointing out that it's a pretty big deal. This is at developer conference at the end of the day. There's a reason it's known as Develop. So it's not really good news, because the problem is, when news like this starts popping up, this is going to be on websites like, for example, Gamma Sutra. This is going to be on basically going around the memo desks of indie developers, and they're going to be like, well, what's going on there? So I think Microsoft have recovered from it. It's not like it's an, oh my god, they cannot recover from this, it's going to be in the news for 7 weeks type of deal. It's not hardware related. It's nothing like, oh my Jesus. It's just a kind of, I don't understand how there's this confusion, and also Microsoft really need to just be a little bit more careful and make sure that everyone's on the same page. That's not to say that all of the studios are the same. Nintendo's had a little bit of ups. Even the PlayStation guys, there is a little bit of inconsistency, particularly when they deal with the Vita. Like, how they want to treat the Vita is a little bit up in the air, depending on who you speak to or who's talking. And, you know, PlayStation, some people are pushing it as like a great gaming handheld, while others seem to just almost malign the console, as I mentioned in a different video, as like, it's nice, you know, you can play the PlayStation 4 remotely with this thing, it's really good. Honest. So there is a little bit of inconsistency, but Microsoft in particular, on issues like this, they seem to be the most guilty. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.